Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Eat the Cake, Drink the Wine, and Fuck Them People podcast. I am Coach Tot, your podcast host, but I'm also Keisha Noir, your narrator for the reading today. But before we get started, we are going to do a reading. So we're going to pull a card that is going to be our guide for this reading. We're going to read the card, and at the end of the reading, I'm going to read the card to give a collective reading. Welcome to the Butterfly Collective. And we're just looking to see what card is going to fall out here. I have no idea. No idea at all whatsoever. I hope everyone's doing great. I did a video to kind of explain a little bit about myself, explain how I dealt with imposter syndrome, and how I'm trying to overcome it. And I'm overcoming it by saying, fuck them people, because I'm in the fuck them people stage of my life. And this is today's card, which says, my thoughts join a powerful swirling vortex of attraction. Oh, I love it. I love it. These cards are coming to you from Esther and Esther and Jerry Hicks, getting into the vortex. And Abraham Hicks speaks through Esther. In the same way that the law of attraction is responding to the thoughts, words, and actions that you are offering here in your physical reality, the law of attraction is always responding powerfully to your vibrational reality. When the law of attraction, the universal manager of all vibrations, responds to the clarity of vibration offered by your expanding inner being, the result is a powerful swirling vortex of attraction. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love it for me. I love it for you. I love it for us. Because a lot has been going on. We are in phase 2 of 30 days to impact. Phase 1 started in December, went through January. Phase 2 started. Let's see, when did it start? It started at the end of January. February 1st made day 2. So today we are on day 17. I need to just add a 1. I have a calendar over here. That's what I'm looking at. That I keep. And just to show you all what I'm talking about, I have one of these. And I can change it up every month. So that's what I do. In addition to using the podcast strategic planner, which I created to help me with my podcasting and just kind of curating the guests and, making SMART goals. And if you don't know what a SMART goal is, SMART, S-M-A-R-T, is actually an acronym, and it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So when you make a goal, if it doesn't fit those 5 particular items, it's not smart, because you need a time. Whatever goal you decide to have, you need to put a time on it to meet the goal. So 30 days to impact is really helping you create SMART goals, because you have to be specific about what you're going to actually put your time, effort, and energy into over the next 30 days. You need to be able to measure it to know if it's effective or not, because in the middle of 30 days to impact is when you have to take a look at it and decide, do I need to go back to the drawing board, or am I getting traction in a positive direction rather? Is it attainable? Am I putting forth a goal that I can truly attain within 30 days? Is it relevant to my overall goal, my North Star? And is it time bound? And when it's within 30 days, it's time bound. So this is something that I follow. And I don't know if it's just me, but my ass looking extra big today. Is it me? My ass looking big to y'all, because they looking big to me. So my light is over here doing something. So let's, okay. All right. I like this one. Okay, wait a minute. I'm hearing one more. There it is. Okay. So this is going to be the light for today's reading. We're going to go ahead and let Keisha Noir come in and take place while Coach Tot, which is me, steps away, and she's going to do the reading. So if we can go ahead and take 3 deep breaths, we want to relax our mind, our body, and our soul as we go in to listen to our ancestors and the message that they were giving us way back then to use today in 2024. and this is new. I've never done my breathing with you guys, so hello everyone. I am Keisha Noor. I will be your narrator for today's reading of To Be a Slave, and we are going to start off just jumping right in where we left off. The slave determined right and wrong very easily. Whatever the slave owner considered right was wrong. Whatever he considered wrong was right. For the slave, it was only considered stealing if you took something from a fellow slave. To take from the slave owner was merely to appropriate that which was, in actuality, yours. It was only through your labor that the slave owner acquired what he had. So from that, I'm gathering the slave knew I can never own anything. I can never have anything. I only get to have what you give me. So if I take it, I'm only taking what I help you acquire. So in my mind, it's actually mine. From the laws and physical force that the slave owners used to maintain slavery, it is obvious that the slaves did not become the puppets their owners would have liked. Laws were made governing every aspect of a slave's life, giving the slave no legal rights and the slave owner all. These laws gave the slave owners control over the bodies of their property, but the slave's mind remained in his possession, and to a certain degree, so did his body. Even though the slaves returned from the fields exhausted at night, they would often sneak off to the woods for church services, singing, and parties, where they would sing and dance away the pain of the day and feel that ecstasy which comes from knowing that one is a human being, not a work animal. White men were hired to patrol the roads and woods surrounding the plantations, to catch any slave who might be going to a gathering or trying to escape. These paddy rollers, as they were called by the slaves, had permission to whip any slave they caught. When the ends go around singing "Still Away to Jesus," that means they're going to be a religious meeting that night. The masters before and after freedom didn't like them religious meetings. So us naturally slips off at night, down in the bottoms of somewheres. Sometimes us sing and pray all night. Anonymous, Library of Congress. I remember one night the paddy rollers come when we was having a big meeting in one of the cabins. They had a big wooden log stuffed with mud in the fire. That make a lot of hot coals to use. Just as we heard them, old man Jack Diggs and Charlie DeWall shoveled fire and coals right out the door on them devils. They ran from the fire and we ran from them. Ain't nobody get caught that time. Betty Jones, The Negro in Virginia, pages 146 to 147. Now, if you're joining us for the reading the first time today, this book does use the N word, which I will not say, I'll just say N word, but it also uses the word Negro, and I will use the word Negro. Because negro is simply black in Espanol. So I'm okay with saying negro. I remember once when we was going to have a meeting down in the woods near the river. Well, they made me the lookout boy, and when the paddy rollers come down the lane past the church, you see they was expecting that the inn's gonna hold a meeting that night. Well, sir, they tell me to step out from the woods and let them see me. Well, I does, and the paddy rollers that was on horseback come a-chasing after me, just a-galloping down the lane to beat the band. Well, I was just ahead of them, and when they got almost up with me, I just ducked into the woods. Of course, the paddy rollers couldn't stop so quick and kept on round. the bed. And then there came a screaming and crying that make you think the hell done bust loose. Them old patty rollers done red plumb into a great line of grapevines that the slaves had stretched across the path. And these vines tripped up the horses and threw the old patty rollers off in the bushes. And some done landed mighty hard, because they was a limping around and cussing and calling for the slaves to come and help them. But them slaves got plenty of sense. After that, old patty rollers got wise and used to tie their horses and come creeping through the woods on foot until they found where this meeting was going on. Then they would rush in and start whipping and beating the slaves unmerciful. All this was done to keep you from serving God. And do you know some of them devils was mean and sinful enough to say, if I catch you here serving God, I'll beat you. You ain't got no time to serve God. We bought you to serve us. Wes Turner, The Negro in Virginia, page 146. Now, I just want to pause right there, 11:11, on the time. 30 minutes is the perfect time for a podcast. You'll probably hear me say that every podcast. But there's this great debate that's going on about the Bible. Is it true? Is it fictional? Was it written by someone to brainwash other people? Where are the true origins of the Bible from? Why are there so many different versions? And who's writing these versions? And who's telling them what this particular version should say? Then you have the book of Enoch that they said is part of the original Bible, but it's not in the King James Version or any of these Bibles that we know of. And there's other books that are not in there as well. And it has been said that the true Bible with all of its chapters is in the Vatican, which is the Pope. The Pope is over the Vatican. So seeing that our ancestors were leaving to serve and praise God, they couldn't read or write. So they weren't necessarily using the Bible, which means they were praying and serving God spiritually. And from my recollection of the King James Version, it says, those that seek me must serve me in spirit and in truth. Now, don't quote me on the actual saying because I'm just going from memory, but it does say you have to serve him in spirit and in truth. Well, what does that mean? That means that you have to be spiritually connected to the God that you serve in order to serve the God you choose to serve. So if you decide to serve evil, Satan, you're spiritually connected to that. And that's why everything you do is evil, because your spirit is evil. But if you're connected to the Most High God that reigns in all positivity, all humanity, all mankind, you're going to do everything you can to be positive and leave a positive effect on people. So they were serving their God in spirits. But the slave masters wanted them to serve them because they were the idol, the image. They wanted to be the image of God. So I just wanted to plug that in right there to help people kind of connect to when I say I'm spiritual. I'm not meaning I'm spiritual because I believe in the chakras or because I use crystals. Here's, this is amethyst that I have on my desk. Amethyst is for love, self-love. I have all kind. I don't have them right here, but I have all kind. Well, even right here, I have my moonstone. I have my moonstone on here, which helps me with creativity and a few other things. But I serve the God I serve in spirit and truth. I've never seen the God that I serve, but I feel him from within. I feel her from within. I feel them from within, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, because I am he and she is I and him. Together, we are we. So when people say, what's your pronoun? I don't have a pronoun because I don't have to use a pronoun because what's understood does not need to be explained. But if you need a pronoun, my pronoun is we. We, as in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Back to our reading. One anonymous slave recalled 2 verses of a song the slave used to sing about the patty rollers. Run in, run, the patty roll get you. Run in, run, the patty roll come. Watch in, watch, the patty roll trick you. Watch in, watch, he got a big gun. That was one of the songs the slaves all know. Sometimes I wonder if the white man didn't make that song up so us ends would keep in line. Anonymous, Library of Congress. And that kind of makes sense, right? Why would you sing that song unless you're warning someone that, hey, they coming? You know, like, woo-hoo, woo-hoo. And like, that's what we used to do back in the day. And I think every city probably have a song. If you understand, woo-hoo, you know what I'm talking about, right? That was the signal. Just know them folks coming. Get your ass out and your ass from around here. Them folks coming. And if they catch you, you're going to go to jail. Okay? Woo-hoo! Anywho, back to the reading. Generally, the slaves only went out on Saturday nights because they didn't have to rise to the sound of the overseer's horn on Sunday. So even the slaves were able to rest on Sunday. But in today's world, in 2024, we don't rest on Sunday. Some of us, we still go to work and we still do our labor. We still do our... When do we allow ourselves to rest? Rest your mind, rest your spirits, regroup, return to Zen. Start incorporating that, even if it's just doing some breathing exercises. Try to incorporate at least one day out the week that you consider to be your holy day, where you don't do any work. You just sit and you reflect on what you've accomplished, even if it was for the past 6 days and you're resting on the 7th, and giving thanks to whichever God you serve. Just a thought. Generally, the slaves only went out on Saturday nights. So they didn't go out every night of the week. Generally, the slaves only went out on Saturday nights. So our ancestors were disciplined because they didn't have to rise to the sound of the overseer's horn on Sunday. So they knew, I got to work all these other days, but I'm going to use one day to me. So Saturday night is when they went out and they had a good time. And Sunday is probably the day that they were able to praise the God that they served. Look at my teeth. They look so pretty, don't they? I still need to get some work done, but okay, let me stay focused. Master Finland ain't cared how much we dance, but old overseer will raise the devil. Overseer always said a slave never will work after he done dance all night. Used to complain to master, and he threatened not to let us dance if we didn't do our work, but he never did stop us. Had to dance or do something, work in the field all day, and got to have some fun on Saturday nights. Henrietta Perry, the Negro in Virginia, page 92. Saturday nights, we'd slip out the quarters and go to the woods. Was an old cabin about 5 miles away from the house, and us would raise all the ruckus there we wanted to. Used to dance old Jenny down. Who was Jenny? Wasn't nobody but me, I reckon. That's what we guys used to say. Going to set the floor with Jenny tonight. Sometimes we would say when Mrs. was around, going to see Jenny tonight? And that mean us going to have a dance. But Mrs. didn't know what we talking about. Sometimes the boys say it too. Can't tell you what they mean. Anyhow, we go to these dances. Every guy with her boy and such music. Had 2 fiddles, 2 tangerines, 2 banjos, and 2 set of bones. Was a boy named Joe that used to whistle too. Them devilish boys would get out in the middle of the floor, and me, Jenny, and the devil right with them. So the glass of water on my head, and the boys would bet on it. I had a great big wreath around my head and a big ribbon bow on each side, and didn't waste a drop of water on none of them. Betty Jones, the Negro in Virginia, page 93. I can tell from that excerpt that Betty Jones was one of the slaves that brought positivity, enlightenment, and joy to being a slave. Because everybody couldn't be down all the time. It had to be somebody to lift other people's spirits. There had to be somebody to say trouble don't last always. It had to be somebody to say, baby, don't let them beat you down. Take what you got out of life for yourself and make something of it. I think that was Betty Jones. That was Betty Jones. Just call me Betty. But I'm a petty Betty, okay? And I'm serious. I'm petty Betty, okay? I'm the queen petty. I'm queen petty. I'm the queen of pettiness. And I try not to be so petty, but petty is as petty does. Going on with our reading. We had parties and we'd sing. Master sleeps in the feather bed, and sleeps on the floor. When we get to heaven, there'll be no slaves no more. Then we had the song about this. Rabbit in the briar patch, squirrel in the tree. Wish I could go hunting, but I ain't free. Roosters in the hen house, hens in the patch. Love to go shooting, but I ain't free. Millie Williams, Library of Congress. Now, I don't know if that's how that song goes, but that's how that was in my spirit to sing it that way, okay? Saturday only worked half day, and them slaves would sure carry on because was going to celebrate that night. Old Charlie Snipes was the lead man, and he was the biggest cut up in the quarters. We'd all be hoeing potatoes long behind us, Charlie, and he would be prancing and singing tunes for us to chop by. This the song Charlie used to sing on Saturdays. Going to the ball, feet diddy diddle. Who's going to the ball? Feet diddy diddle. Going to wear a red gown, feet diddy diddle. Wear a red gown, feet diddy diddle. Going to wear a velvet coat, feet diddy diddle. And keep it up, putting in words and kicking the claws in step. And sometimes they take it up all over the field, just to feed the diddling and stepping high and chopping right in tune. Old overseer was named Barnes, and he would yell and cuss and lash the slaves near him with his cowhide. But he couldn't stop all them slaves from feeling good, because they're going to set the floor that night. Georgiana Gibbs, The Negro in Virginia, page 65 to 66. I went to a school in St. Pete, Florida called Gibbs High School. And I'm just wondering, does Gibbs High School connect in any way to Georgiana Gibbs? I don't know. 2222. I'm going to call out these synchronicities because it's just, I'm looking up and I'm seeing it. So we're gonna keep reading. I'm liking this. I'm feeling the energy. It's feeling good today. You know, our readings in the past of this book, the energy was heavy, but I feel like we get into some good energy. So we did have, and I'm gonna say this, I know we had ancestors that had good experiences with slavery because some of them actually were given their freedom. They had slave masters that allowed them to buy their freedom. They had slave masters that taught them how to read and how to write and how to count and how to understand things. They had good overseers. All slave owners were not evil. Y'all can fight me in the comments. I don't believe all slave owners were evil, but a good amount of them was. And was owning a slave right? Absolutely not. But in that day, in that time, they felt it was right. And we are still fighting for equality and freedom in 2024 as Black Americans. So when will we be able to stop fighting? When will what we wanted to fight for actually happen? And I think this is a good space to kind of stop because I want to talk through Lincoln. If you guys have not watched Lincoln on the History Channel, I want you to watch Lincoln on the History Channel. It's in 3 parts. And I have watched this on repeat for the past 3 or 4 days. But I still have not been able to focus and just watch it like from beginning to end because I keep getting caught up in other stuff. And then we're going to end this with the reading of what I see in this card. But what was astonishing to me, and I hope that's the right word, astonishing. For some reason, I'm saying astonishing, but I keep hearing stone. Lincoln had more concern for how his white counterparts would feel about ending slavery than he did about the humanity of human beings that were slaves. This is my interpretation. Okay. This is my belief of what I was able to excerpt, which means to pull out of part one when I was watching it. And let's just say all three parts, because I'm gonna just pull this in, and because I wasn't laser focused, I can't remember which part. But there was one part that it was kind of agreed that they are not considered to be humans. They're considered to be property, so they can't necessarily go and fight for their freedom. There was another part that it just I can't really explain. I still don't have the words to explain how it made me feel, but this is my interpretation of it. So you had the fight at Gettysburg, and they could have closed in on General Lee and ended the war at the fight at Gettysburg. And this is what I'm gathering from Lincoln, the movie, right? When I was watching the movie on History Channel. But you had the general for the army that was fighting against the Confederate army, and he's talking to two of his leaders, and one is saying, hey, they wait for us and we may not win. The other one is saying, no, the way we just whoop their ass, we need to go and get them. We can take them down. We need to go now. But the general decided, okay, well, we just gonna wait. So when I watched it, I was like, oh, they really didn't want it to end. That was my interpretation. So then when they went on the next day, they seen that, the tents were set up, the smoke was coming out the fire. So it hadn't been that long since they left, but they missed the opportunity. So they gave General Lee the ability to go and kind of regroup and mount back up. So this is why this Civil War went on for so long, because when they could have ended it in Gettysburg, they didn't. They didn't keep pushing forward, even though they had the strength and the ability. They decided to stop. So then there's a part where word went back to President Lincoln at the time to say they got away from us, but we pushed them out of our land. And Lincoln said, what is it? When will they get this out of their head that all the land is ours? So he was saying all of this is the United States. All of this is under me. And Northerners had the thought of, well, we don't do slavery up here. That's a Southern thing, and that's their issue. That's their battle. We ain't got nothing to do with it. And then you had Southerners that felt like this is our way of living. We're separate from them because we do it differently down here, and they allow Black men and women and children to roam freely, but we consider them to be slaves and servants of ours, and they can't own anything. They can't look us in the eye. So they had two different mindsets. So I was like, that's interesting. But then there came a time, and this is probably towards the end, where the Emancipation of Proclamation. And it was pretty much my interpretation that Lincoln was saying, hey, we just whooped their ass in this Civil War. So they are already a little, we're not going to make the ex-slaves equal yet, but we'll at least say that they're free and slavery is abolished. But we're not going to make them equal because we need to allow our white brothers and sisters the ability to come back up to their right state of mind, to their understanding, because he felt like we done beat them so bad and they down real low right now. So let's not say, yeah, we done whooped your ass and we done made you equal to these slaves. Like they got the same rights that you got. He didn't take it that far. So that's why I feel like he failed as a president, because at that moment he had the opportunity to not only free slaves, but also state that slaves are equal to, or ex-slaves. Let me reword this. All men, women, and children are created equal, regardless of their race, religion, ethnicity, like all of those things that we didn't get until we was fighting in the civil rights. Lincoln had the opportunity to do that then. But his concern was, it's too much. But This is the killer right here, right? Well, I don't want to say killer, but pretty much. Lincoln had family in the South. His wife was from the South. So when this whole war is going on, he's feeling it on both sides. So he was a little biased in the things that he decided to do in order to not only free Black men, women, and children, but to make them equal. Because he had to consider, well, how is my family going to feel? And as a president, the concern should not have been so much on how his family was going to feel. The concern should have been on, I'm serving all people, so I want all people to feel the same. I said what I said, fight with me in the comments. Lincoln failed us when he could have changed so much. And just imagine if he would have did that back then, where would we be as a society today? Today in 2024, there's so much going on, and it's all about race. People mad that Beyonce made a song, and it's a country song, and it's a banger. It's a banger. And you see all walks of life enjoying this song. But the only walk of life that I have seen complaining about it are the white people that say Black people can't be singing no country, like country is ours. And then it was shocking that somebody had to pull up receipts and say, well, if y'all really want to know, y'all didn't start country. This is what country started from, and this is where it came from. So in all reality, that was ours too. And I was just like, ooh. So I have not done enough research on that. But I feel like there was a lot of Henrietta Gibbs back there in the time of slavery. And again, this is the reading of To Be a Slave, a Newbery Honor Book, a Puffin Modern Classic, written by Julius Caesar. I never would have thought in a million years when I bought this book for my sons. My oldest son is 33. And when I purchased this book, he was probably 12 or 13 years old. I would have never thought in a million years I would be reading this book to share with the masses on YouTube. When I say read, I do mean read. Again, we're putting a panel together where we're going to sit down and have a conversation that nobody wants to have. And I want it to be a diverse panel. But everybody has to be on the same accord. Like, I don't need anybody on the panel that's complaining, saying that slavery should have existed, or that Black people are equal, or there's no need for Black Lives Matter. Like, no, you can't be on the panel. Because Black lives do matter. All lives matter, but all lives cannot matter until Black lives matter. I said what I said. Argue with me in the comments. So back to our card that we pulled at the beginning. My thoughts join a powerful swirling vortex of attraction. In the same way that the law of attraction is responding to the thoughts, words, and actions that you are offering here in your physical reality, the law of attraction is always responding powerfully to your vibrational reality. When the law of attraction, the universal manager of all vibrations, responds to the clarity of vibration offered by your expanding inner being, the result is a powerful swirling vortex of attraction. So now, let's see what we see in this. Oh God, this is good. So I'm seeing the world. I'm seeing the world. So this looks like Earth. So I'm seeing the world. So this is the blue would be the ocean, the green would be the land. And you see all of these people from all walks of life. And they're walking toward a higher purpose. They're walking toward a brighter light. They're walking toward a positive mindset. They're walking toward unity. They're walking toward forgiveness. They're walking toward what human beings were meant to do in this lifetime. And that is to be on one accord. When I look at the light that's beaming out of this head right here, that light is shining, and it's shining toward a hand. this hand right here. Wait a minute, it's on this side. So it's shining toward the hand, but that shining is actually providing energy and vibrancy that is to be held in high esteem, but shared with other people, because you can't hold your hand up forever. So when the hand decides to come down, all of these people that are walking toward it, they become enlightened and they share the enlightenment with others. That is today's reading for the Butterfly Collective. I am Keisha Noir, your narrator today for the reading of To Be a Slave. I'm very happy that today's reading was a positive reading. It showed some good moments that our ancestors were able to experience. And I will see you again next Saturday at 2:22 p.m. Central Standard Time as we continue to read To Be a Slave. In each reading, we will pull a card from Getting Into the Vortex, Esther and Jerry Hicks. And this is a deck of 60 relationship cards, because my goal and my intent and my purpose is to raise the vibration of the collective, to eliminate limiting beliefs and replace those limiting beliefs with, confirmation belief of abundance. So in other words, I'm trying to cancel out a limited mindset that says I never can. That's not for me. To a growth mindset that says I can do anything I want to do. I can have what I say I can have. I can be what I say I can be. I can do what I can say I can do. I can go where I say I can go. That there is no limit to what your imagination can actually visualize. If you believe it and you can see it with your third eye and visualize it, you begin to say it. And as you say it, you'll start to feel it. And as you start to feel it, you'll start to manifest it. So no matter what you do in this lifetime, always remember to keep manifesting. Love you all. Bye.